Don't.
It'll work.
Oh,
No worries.
exactly. We're on. Okay, so everybody, welcome. So happy to see Marvin here. He's somebody I connected with a few years ago now on LinkedIn. And he's going to remind us we do not have to be a shiny rainbow unicorn. So, Marvin, let's just remind everybody if they have questions, please put them in the Q&A, which is under the 9 dots icon, and I'll moderate the questions at the end and let you get through your slides. So, go, go, go.
Awesome. Yeah. Welcome everyone. Thank you, Debbie, for organizing this again. A really awesome conference, and I actually love the way you put it together. That we all get to share. I think that's a great example. I wish more organizers would do it this way. Before we jump into why I think we don't actually need to be unicorns, let me give you a short intro of who I am. I've been in this design industry for something over 20 years now. I originally started out as a web designer and made the transition into UX because I wanted just more impact, more meaning, rather than just doing marketing websites. As a UX designer, I then moved into leadership. I started building and organizing teams and organizations and helping them implement UX processes. And then at some point, I got to the stage in my career when I really didn't know what was next. I got laid off, as so many of us have in the past years, and I decided for myself that now I was going to focus on what I liked most about my career so far, and I was working with designers. So now I do a lot of mentoring and coaching for designers. I help them kind of get unstuck when they come to a point where you're not as impactful as you want it to be, maybe, or you don't know what path is next for you, or how to gain some clarity on what you really want from your career. So that's when a lot of people tend to work with me. As you can see, I have a kid. Actually, I have two by now, so this picture definitely needs to be upgraded and updated, but it kind of also shows what's important to me in this line of work we're doing. And it's the human connection, it's the interaction with people. And most importantly, my kids also kind of make me calm down, change perspectives, and also kind of realign what's really important to me. Now, those who've already had a conversation with me know that I don't usually give lectures. So this isn't the one either. I really invite you all to contribute, ask questions, even in between. Debbie's moderating, but if you want to throw in something, then that's totally fine. Object if I say something that you don't agree with. I'm really open to hearing it. I don't have all the answers. I don't think anyone truly does. And the first thing, since this isn't the lecture that we should kind of consider, or I want you to consider, is be active, right? There's going to be a bit of an exercise later on that we can spend some time on, but also kind of want you to kind of contribute and post, and maybe give me a thumbs up or a reaction, kind of show, let me see that you're alive. I have a separate window open so I can see you all as well on the side. The first question I have, and I would love for you to post it in the chat, is what was the most unrealistic expectation you've ever had for a UX role in your career? What's the stuff that bugged you most? Anyone have something they can put in the chat? That would be awesome. Give you a few minutes here. Do we have anything coming in, Debbie? Oh, great.
Yeah. Do you want me to read them out, or do you see
Yes,
them?
yes, please. I see some of them, but it'd be awesome if you could do spearhead
Yeah,
and
I
run a
can read
process
them
to
out.
create. Oh, you have 2 weeks. Wow, yeah, that's a bad one. Being able to code. Oh, yes. Advocate for users, headcount, and tools. Wow. Okay. So there's quite a few different ones. Last minute requests to signage, redesign. Oh, retail stores. Nice. So design is design, right? Whatever it is, you can do it all since you do these things where you make things pretty. So it already sounds like there's quite a few unicorn requests going on. And I guess the first thing I want to do with you, or the next thing is kind of look at, what is this UX unicorn, and why do people actually ask for it, and maybe also look at how did we get here. I asked Chad, as we call him in this mentorship I have, so ChatGPT, what is a UX unicorn, and it spit out this whole list of things, right? And it's basically what we've been seeing in the comments as well. Nowadays, a lot of organizations expect designers to kind of do it all, right? And we know how broad UX design is as a field. And then, other areas like graphic design, marketing, brand design come in, or even code and strategy. And we're supposed to do it all, and all in one role and all in one salary. So basically, it's in my opinion, way too much to handle in a lot of situations. But the weird thing also is that it's not just for a certain stage. I've actually noticed that it's the same, or at least very similar, across all levels. So no matter if you're just getting started as a junior designer, or if you're in leadership, they kind of expect you to do a whole bunch, right? I've seen junior roles with 3 to 5 years experience. You need analytics knowledge. You need to be strategic. You need to, be a Figma expert, and you basically need the whole spectrum. And then you have leadership positions where you don't just lead, which is obviously a full-time position, but you also are supposed to go hands-on, fly high and low at the same time, kind of manage the team while you're actually producing product. And it becomes this whole thing, and this constant ladder that you're constantly climbing, and you never get to the end of it, right? And now with AI coming in, I don't know where they get this idea, but companies actually expect you, on top of everything else, to also be an AI expert or AI driven, and it's just a whole bunch. But in my opinion, all unicorns are mythical creatures. They don't really exist, neither in real life nor in design. So how do we get here? What happened? Well, the first thing that came to my mind when I thought about this topic was UX is huge. For those of us who've been in this industry for more than 5, 6, 7, 10 years, maybe, we've realized that there's just so many things that come together, right? We want to understand business, or we need to understand business and go all the way to prototyping. We need to be able to run concepts, but then also there's been this whole discussion going on for years and years and years on designers need to code, and what is all that, right? We want to provide services, but then we also need to kind of create interfaces. So it's this whole spectrum of things that we need to cover. And in reality, I think no one can cover it all. I've been in this industry for more than 20 years now, and I don't remember one person that was excellent in all areas, right? But this is kind of the expectation in a lot of ways. Oh, wrong direction. What else has happened? Well, we don't really have standards in our industry, and that's not just in terms of processes and structures. I mean, we've had great talks about data and goal setting today, but I bet we could invite 10 more people with 10 more thoughts and 10 more ideas with processes and structures and methods and tools we could use, and it will all be, leading to the same goals, but it will all be different. And the same is true for titles. I mean, we have a bit of I call it split personality syndrome here. We have different roles that are basically the same job, right? We have product designers, we have UX UI designers, and we have UX designers, and a whole range of other titles that are in job posts in organizations, and hardly ever are they truly differentiated. I see way too many companies that have actually run the same job ad with different titles for the same role. So how do we really navigate it? How do we know where we fit in and who we truly are? And we don't know, and no one else really knows. And then we are often faced with situations where we have really high expectations on what we're supposed to deliver, but actually the maturity of our organizations, the processes we have, the resources we have, the structures we have to work in, bring low maturity. So when that happens, we are kind of stuck in this in-between state where we can't really perform as we would, and we can't really use our expertise because we're stuck between in these situations. We often find ourselves working alone, right? We see agile product squads where you don't have design partners. There's way too many designers still working in organizations where they're the only designer. And then we've come to a state in our industry where, and it pains me to kind of say this, I have a feeling that our leaders, including myself, have kind of failed us because this field isn't really new, right? Design or UX design has been around for many years now, and we're still not where we would like to be. We are still discussing how to get a seat at the table. We're still discussing how to implement processes, how to work with each other, how to better collaborate. And it's now, in a way, a problem that the people that are still in the field are facing, while they're, at the same time, they're being told by leaders in the industry who have been around for 20 years that they're not doing the job correctly. So even within our own field, expectations to do the job well are very high when the situations we're facing often don't allow us to do the job well. Same is true for our education. It's getting more and more, but I see that we have a huge spectrum of courses, trainings, and books in the internet or even or online or in person, ranging from boot camps to universities, and it's just a whole lot to learn. With my clients, I often find that a lot of people get stuck trying to learn because they don't know where to start and where to stop, basically. Unfortunately, I also have to say that the quality of education really varies. I've spent, when I was in education or when I was learning design, I spent multiple years just learning the basics of what good looks like, how to approach a design process. And now we have 3 months, 4 months boot camp, and they're promising people to be ready for a role right after that. I wish we would give ourselves a little bit more time to experiment, a bit more time to learn, and build paths in which we learn, right? If we look at the job market right now, we see that very few jobs are actually offered to juniors in a way that they can learn, but they actually are expected to produce immediately. And what we see is that we don't have any more paths to experiment and find out what good looks like and learn to become good designers in practice. We have to kind of put that in front of our jobs, which really doesn't work at the end of the day. So what are the consequences, and who's paying the prices for this kind of situation? Well, one thing I see is lost designers, right? We have misaligned expectations on what our roles are supposed to be. We get experts that are kind of stuck without a certain expertise. We are overloaded with our work. And worst of all, we have very little rewards for the work, right? Often design is looked at as something that's prettifying, something that comes after business value, so we're not included well enough. But we also have lost leaders, and I wish, let me give you this gift right here. This gives you an idea of what I see. We have leaders and managers hiring designers and not really know where to put them, not really know how to best engage them. The hiring processes are very long, even for normal kind of IC roles. And we have people coming in with 3, 4, 5 rounds of interviews. We have case studies that we have to prepare. We have cases then and tests that we have to take home, and then exercises to kind of prove how we work. And it's all just basically a betting on what is most likely to be successful, instead of looking at, truly understanding where to place the designer in the team, and truly then understanding, who to look for. It's all kind of muddled, I want to say. And that leads then again to the experts that we have on our teams being underutilized. We have senior leaders of design, like I've seen a head of design role just yesterday that asked for them to kind of jump on and be player. So we have highly paid designers that could really build a team and build a structure and evangelize for design, all things we want to do, and we have them running around in Figma. I'm not so sure that's the best use of their time, to be honest. And at the end of the problem, we have companies and leaders saying there's too little return on invest. Design isn't worth it. And then, as we are in the situation right now, design gets cut when times get tough. instead of being invested in. And obviously, we have personal costs. We get hit in the face. I have had, I've been in this coaching sphere now for almost 2 years, and I can't tell you the number of designers I've had come to me that are frustrated, that are burned out, and are still kind of stuck with imposter syndrome. No matter how long they've been in the field, no matter how many good experiences they've had, it always comes back to this kind of feeling of, I'm doing too much for too little. I'm not sure if I'm doing my job well enough, and I don't know if I can do this another 20 years. And it's not just the job market, the current job market, it's also how we treat each other. It's also how, how the expectations are at what we're supposed to do. It's this whole ecosystem of the things we've spoken about. So how do we get out? What do we change? Right? And I know this has been a bit of a bummer so far, but I don't want to gaslight you. I'm not going to tell you we're going to change the whole industry today. And we're not going to fix the job market. It is as it is, right? And it's something we have to live with for now. But what we can do is try to switch perspectives a bit. That's something I want to try with you today. Because at the end of the day, companies need experts to do their job well. They don't actually need magical creatures to kind of sprinkle fairy dust on top of their products. So what I want to try to do with you today is, instead of looking from the outside in, what the market expects, what the industry expects, what a good designer is supposed to look like, I want to try to look from the inside out and, really look at who we are as designers. And that really starts with the strengths and skills, right? We all have them, but far too often, instead of looking for what we can do, we look for what we still need to learn. So if you want to not become a unicorn, but maybe a successful and happy designer, my suggestion would be to start going wide. Yes, look for areas that that give you a bit of breadth, but look from the perspective of where you're strong at already. So go from good to great. I really believe that improving on something that you're already good at and getting to excellence is a lot easier than trying to fix something that's a gap and kind of to cover something and get too good at it in an area where you may not be experienced or strong at yet. And the second thing is, or the next thing is, switch and pivot. You don't have to stay in the same area all your career. I've seen people move into management and then decide that it's not for them and go back to IC roles. I've seen people try to investigate how research feels for them and then move back to designer roles. Don't try to get stuck in just one space just because you've taken a decision once. Our careers are long and we get to experiment with them. I guess is what I'm trying to say here. And this is something I always do with my clients and I really find important. Try to find clear positioning for yourself. It's not just what you do that matters and kind of your skill spectrum that matters, but it's also who you are that matters to your industry. When I talk about job posts and application processes with my clients, I always tell them that all application processes at the end of the day are matching processes. Companies always trying to find the right designer for their teams, not just a designer, not just a FANG designer, but they want someone that is a true fit. And in order for that to work, you have to be very clear on who you are so they can really see that or if you are a good fit very easily. Plus, understanding who you are as a designer and what you like to do and what your values are, what your strengths are, also kind of helps you gain a bit of confidence and clarity on the things you want for yourself and what you want to achieve and what you want to do. And maybe also when good enough is good enough, right? Not everyone needs to become the CDO. If you're happy being an IC, you found that out for yourself, then that's great. But it takes a bit of research and reflection, understanding of what it is you want. And it takes a bit of clarifying and clear communication of what you want, so then you can make those valuable connections. Yes. I I just saw this post here, this in the chat, and also leaves behind things that are toxic and negative for you, right? You don't have to deal with everything just because it's there. You get to choose. It's your career. And then it said, aside from looking at this really huge spectrum of UX skills, I really kind of advise, and maybe this is a bit of advice, is to look at the strengths and the things that are really impactful, right? So yes, you need a general understanding of design, the practice, the methods, likely in today's world, even for a lot of cases, visual design, right, and how that works. But what seems to be a lot more impactful in a lot of ways is is focusing on collaboration and how to facilitate that, because design often finds itself in the middle between engineering, product, and data analysis, marketing, maybe, and bringing those teams together and facilitating the collaboration and conversation really helps and can really move you forward. And then lead with communication, right? Instead of adding another course on the next tool, the next Figma plugin, whatever it is, try to look for areas where you learn to express with and communicate with others a lot better. All right. I want to give this a try. I want to give this looking inside a try. And I have a few questions and exercises prepared for you to look at today. Raise your hand or give me a thumbs up if you've seen the skill matrix before. Okay. So I see a lot of thumbs up. So I'm guessing a lot of people have already done these. I would love for you to take a moment and rate yourself on a skill level, 1 to 5, on as many of these aspects as you can, to see where you currently stand, where your strong suits are, where you do well, but also maybe where there's some gaps, right? And then once you've done that, I would like you to kind of rate yourself on what you actually enjoy. What are the things you actually like, rather than just do well. And then the last thing, if you're open to it, would be to kind of check and put in the chat maybe 3 to 5 areas that you still want to improve. And I have some follow-up questions for those as well. Yeah. In the meantime, Wig just said, yes, this would be great if we had a healthy job market where there's a significant pool of available roles, but now it's Hunger Games. Yeah, that's true. Yes, we are in a way of Hunger Games. Still, I think being clear on who you are and being able to communicate and having a strong sense of this is me as a designer helps navigate that market even in these tough times, because you can, way more clearly communicate what it is you bring to the table. Plus, it helps you, like I said earlier, it helps you kind of keep a bit of calm when you get those nasty rejections. And I know this is a bit of privilege because we still have to get our bills paid. But I've found with my clients and my work and myself even, that knowing who I am and what it is I want and what I bring to the table helps kind of accept a non-fit a little easier as well. Okay, everything needs to be improved because you're a junior. I would really question that, right? All right, stakeholder management improvement areas. There's no one solution because no one stakeholder is the same. Yes, that's true. But there is ways to do that. Diving into communication strategies and stuff like that would likely help. Thank you for sharing. All right. Next thing. Okay. Diagrams are necessary for, you don't need 20 years to start being an informal mentor. Yes, love that. I love giving back and kind of, sharing with others and leaning into that. I have a question here, since we've kind of looked at the skill metrics in the spider web. If you looked at your skills and what you're good at, how well does it align with what you actually like to do, with your enjoyment? What are we seeing? Is there a good match, or is there a large difference? Very good match, actually. Yeah, makes sense. Awesome. Yeah, and I don't think that's by chance because we tend to be good at the things that we like doing. So it makes total sense if you've already found out that these are some areas that I enjoy doing and I'm good at. It's better to invest in those rather than kind of look at um, you know the things that are still out there that one should know, right? Next question is, okay, loving the technical side, hating the politics. I get that, right? Maybe leaning to IC or staying in IC, and if that's the case. But the next question here, really, that I have for you is, how well are your skills currently utilized in your role, if you have one, or in the roles that you're applying to? What would you think? How well would your skills, the strong things that you have, be utilized, or is it actually a broad spectrum? Is there maybe not such a good match? Again, please put your very for youth strategist. Yes, congrats on starting in the leadership position. That's a wild ride. I hope you have good support from your team. Okay, then there's a goal. Okay, research is strategic. Mm-hmm. Overutilized, strengths are overutilized at times. That's interesting. Sounds like overworked, right? Like there's too much going on. It's tough to avoid imposter syndrome. Very true. With reflection, looking inwards can help. Something I've experienced. Okay, and here's a key question, really. If you've chosen improvement areas, things that you still feel you need to get better on. I remember one of you posted everything because I'm still junior. I wonder if you've chosen those things because you truly want to improve them, or because they would make you feel like you're a more complete designer, kind of closer to the unicorn. Give me maybe a thumbs up if you've chosen them to be more of a complete designer rather than things that you actually want to learn. Yeah, getting a few thumbs up here. I get that. Maybe that's a good question to think about. What is it that you really want to learn? Because as we've learned a bit earlier, right? We tend to be good at the things that we actually enjoy. So maybe focusing on something that is maybe an area of improvement, but that could be fun. That's maybe adjacent, that isn't technically close to something that I'm already good at, something I already enjoy, would be a bit more promising than learning something just to be a complete designer. Awesome. So before I open this up for questions, one thing I really want to send out to you and give you as a piece of thinking is, not doing it all is a sign of maturity and not a lack of professionalism, in my opinion. Because with time and clarity and understanding for what you're good at, things tend to crystallize. I always say when I get hired, I'm not the best designer. I can be a good manager. I can help you build a team. I can help you build the process. But if I'm the best manager on your team, I probably haven't done my job correctly. So it's clear that I don't necessarily fit to these kind of player coach type of roles, but there are roles where I do fit. And the same could be true for you. Finding that out and crystallizing it and making it, the thing you communicate to others can really help you stand out in the market. Awesome. Um, Thank you so much. That was my short little presentation for us today. I know we have some questions. Debbie, if you would share them, that would be awesome.
You got it. Thanks for that presentation. We've got a couple of questions, looks like maybe three right now in the Q&A, which everybody can find from the 9 dots matrix icon. Nadine asks, how do you deal with product managers that try to do all the UX and just give the UI work to designers? Unfortunately, a lot of PMs are taught to do strategy and product discovery.
Yes, been there, felt that pain. Um, there's a few things I would suggest. First and foremost, I think acknowledging that there's a large overlap in the definitions of those roles, and basically leads back to the slide earlier, right? This on the, this a bit the expectations but also the role definitions, right? There we have an overlap between product and design. That's just a fact. And if product is currently in your space and currently doing what we would assume is UX, I would clarify that, and I would look for management to clarify what are the roles, how they define in our organization, what is my job and what isn't my job, what's product and what isn't product. But that usually isn't a quick process. So my approach to kind of get working on the operational level is always to look at helping them achieve their goals first. I think it was Kevin who said, at the end of the day, it's a business metric that matters, and I would agree. So looking at being a part of their team and saying, okay, great that you're already doing product stuff. How can I support you better in getting that stuff done? Can we maybe do some research together, do some testing together, do some content together, so we can spar with each other and build trust on that level without trying to take away the weight from them? Usually works. What also kind of works is kind of showing that you are looking at their targets and what their success is being measured by, the KPIs, the numbers at the end of the day, because it kind of expresses that you understand their needs and you understand what counts for them. A lot of these situations that I've encountered with product managers come from them being afraid that you don't know what moves the needle, and that you would get kind of lost in design, so they kind of hand it over. It's not necessarily always just their overreach in terms of their personality or their need for power, but it's because they are scared that if they don't do it, the outcome won't be good. And showing that you understand, showing that you care about what matters for them, for the business, helps with that.
Okay, we've got two more questions. Jess asks, how to clearly and confidently position yourself while suffering from imposter syndrome? It can be hard to fake confidence or be open about weaknesses if you don't feel confident within.
Okay. There's one thing that a coach told me once, and that's the only people that don't suffer from imposter syndrome are imposters, because they know they're lying. So in reality, a lot of us have it. Most of us probably have it. I have it all the time. What helps me is, again, going back to the things I know I do well. And that's by investigating my strength and my values and what matters to me. Not so much by someone's told me once that I was a good designer. It's looking at what are the things that are important to me and how do those matter, using these skill written metrics that we just looked at, stuff like that. But it's looking inwards and really investigating what's important. How do I show up in the world? How do I align with my values? And that usually brings a bit of strength and confidence and understanding to me. And accepting that there are moments where I don't feel comfortable and I have this moment of imposter syndrome, right? And yeah, sometimes it's just there, and then I have to accept that it is. I wouldn't necessarily overshare on, okay, I feel unconfident about something, but just take a moment to kind of step back and realize that it's a normal feeling. I hope that helps a little, but the most important thing really is look at what your values are, how you align with your values, what you do, is close to who you are, rather than this external validation.
And one more question, and then we'll take a little break. How do you make your stakeholders agree with you about not doing it all as a sign of maturity? I just left a company where everyone in leadership kept trying to squeeze a little bit more out of me, hence why I left, but still.
Well, I think if you can't, um, then leaving is an option, obviously, and I think you did well. If they were squeezing and squeezing and squeezing, um, the notion of not doing it all is a sign of maturity is more for you and your career than it is something you can take and tell stakeholders. I think if they have a misaligned vision of what design is supposed to be, you won't fix it on your own. I think it's going to take a process and time and aligned leadership to learn what design really means. So this is really what raising design maturity is about, and you can't just do that by having a conversation with your leaders. It just won't happen. You need to invest the time and the work to take the small steps forward. But if it's just on you, and if you're not willing to take that long road and that hard fight, then yes, leaving I think would be the best option, to be honest.
I dig it. Well, we're going to wrap up. Marvin, thank you so much for the presentation and answering everybody's questions. I will jump in and stop the recording. Don't forget that Tom's workshop should start in about 25 minutes. So everybody take a bit of a break. Thanks again, Marvin.
Thank you all for sharing this small experiment with me. Have a great day.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.